Hey guys, another week, another game dev vlog, and this week is the first week I was trying to implement that schedule I was talking about last week, and I think it overall did go fairly well. I could definitely tell an improvement in the way I was getting work done, especially in feeling a little less stressed about most of it. Over the course of this last week, I was working on various things to do with Everybody at Universe. So at first I was working on more structural stuff and working on adding more capabilities to the rendering system. So the canvas renderer still, and I've actually decided to kind of postpone working on the WebGL renderer just yet because honestly, the canvas renderer is good enough for now, and the game features like the game mechanics and physics and stuff like that are much more important, or at least much more priority right now than a new renderer that's more efficient. So overall, the canvas renderer, the functionality that I added to it is the ability to have dynamic chunks effectively. So previously what I had done, and I knew it wasn't like what I wanted to keep with, but it was simple to implement. What I had done is just generate a chunk for different portions of the world. So for a 200 by 200 world, I would generate chunks that are about 50 by 50 is what I had originally. So there would be like 16 in the world, but then with rendering tests, especially on my phone to see how the game performs on a low-end system, it actually seemed like in order to get the most performance out of it, it actually worked best with being 10 by 10 block chunks, which cranked the number of chunks way up there. And not to mention, to simplify the rendering process and make things more efficient, I actually split rendering of backgrounds, shadows, and the main blocks onto separate canvases. So the number of canvases was getting a bit out of control, so I knew it was about time that I implement the system for dynamic chunks, which is basically a set number of maximum chunks that can exist at any given time, and that's based on the maximum number that you can see at any time. And then from there, I just swap out chunks as you reveal new ones and old ones are no longer visible. And I actually re-render them procedurally, so as you enter a new chunk, it renders all those blocks individually until you see the whole chunk and they're all there. That way I can reduce lag spikes as much as possible for low-end systems. On my phone, now moving around slowly or at moderate speeds, there's very little lag loading new chunks, but once I do start moving quickly, the frame rate does drop. There's not really much I can do about that with the canvas renderer. That's where the WebGL renderer comes in. The other stuff that I was working on this week was mostly to do with some user interface design stuff, working with Alex on figuring out how the user interface is going to look in-game. There is definitely some stuff that isn't quite final just yet, but overall it does seem to be going in the right direction, and the rest of the staff seem to be happy with the direction it's going. The user interface will be implemented along the way as we get adding new features to this, especially as we reach the closed beta stage in a couple months from now. So yeah, I mean, everything's going all right. Went a bit slow towards the end of the week working on that. Didn't end up doing too much as far as physics, working with Luke on that, but we did start some early discussion for that. But definitely hoping to make some better progress this next week. But overall, last week was a bit less stressful, so I think that's a good sign on how to go about handling these kind of things. So yeah, I guess that is going to have to be it for today. So as always, I do want to thank my contributors over on Patreon. And if you want to check it out for yourself, the link is down in the description below. And of course, I want to thank the Everybody at its patrons as well. So yeah, I'll see you around. Goodbye.